We've considered how to work out the volume of a cylinder. Now let's have a look at the surface area of a cylinder. Whenever you work out the surface area of a 3D shape, it always helps to consider the net of the shape. The net is what we get when we unfold the shape. If you imagine unfolding this cylinder, imagine first that you're pulling both of the ends up, the two circles, and you can draw them like that. Now imagine that you open up the cylinder from the sides. So you've now got the surface area of the remainder of the cylinder. So not the two circles at the top, the middle section of the cylinder. Now let's consider some values. So firstly, if I look at the circumference of one of the circles, you should notice that it's identical to the width of the middle section of the cylinder, because the circle has to be able to go, so basically if I have the circumference of the circle, that has to fit exactly onto the width of the middle section, like that. If we now consider the height of the cylinder, you can see that's obviously the same as the height of the middle section, because when they're flat, those circles don't have any width. Now we can consider some letters. So remember, we generally call the radius r and the height h of a cylinder. We know that the middle section has height h. We also know the length of the middle section is the circumference of one of the circles on the end. And the formula for circumference is 2 pi r. You can also use pi times diameter. So to work out the total surface area of the cylinder, I need to work out the area of these two circles, the area of the middle section, and then add everything up. So let's do that here and see what formula we come up with. So we have pi r squared for the top circle, pi r squared for the bottom circle. For the middle section, we have a rectangle where the length is 2 pi r and the width is h. So the middle section is going to have area 2 pi r length times h width. So that's going to be the formula. Pi r squared plus pi r squared is 2 pi r squared. So if you want to think of it as a formula, it's 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. But that's a bit of a mouthful. I think it's generally easier to just think of the net and work from there. So if we look at this example, we have radius 5 and height 8. I've drawn the net on the right hand side and I can just fill the numbers in. We know the radius of the circle is 5, so I can fill that in. We know that the length of the middle section is 2 pi times 5, which is 10 pi. And we know that the height of the middle section is also 8. I can now work out the individual areas. So the area of one of the circles is pi times 5 squared. The area of the other one is pi times 5 squared. And the area of the middle section is 2 pi times 5 times 8. I can put that straight into a calculator if I'm careful. And then, as a number, I will end up with 408.41 centimetres squared. And it is centimetres squared because this is a surface area, not a volume. Here are some questions for you to try. Please pause the video now and have a go at them. And when you're ready for the answers, press play. Okay, let's go through the answers. So firstly, we have pi times 5 squared, pi times 5 squared, 2 pi times 5 times 10. And we end up with 471.24 centimetres squared. In the second question, be aware that you're given the diameter, and the radius is half the diameter, which is 2. So we have a final answer of 175.93 centimetres squared. And with the last one, remember the units have got to be the same. So I'm actually going to call the radius 3 meters because 300 divided by 100 is 3. So I end up with a final answer of 395.84 meters squared. Finally, I want to leave my answer in terms of pi. This is only something you're expected to do in the higher paper. Again, the units have got to be the same, so I'm going to change 1,000 meters into centimeters by 1,000 centimeters into meters by dividing by 100. We get pi times 2 squared, 2 pi times 2 times 10, and I end up with a final answer of 4 pi plus 4 pi plus 2 times 2 is 4 times 10 is 40 pi. So in fact, I end up with 4 plus 4 plus 40 pi, which is 48 pi meters squared.